They said a day would come when Africa's enemies, desperate enough, would try anything. Forge a paper, stamp a seal, write a so-called law, just to crush the spirit of a free man. That day is here, and it comes in the name of Judge Thomas. They call it an arrest warrant. I call it a sheet of arrogance, soaked in hypocrisy, signed by a coward hiding behind a robe. They believe that marble courts, law books on endless shelves, and their theater of justice give them the right to command the sons and daughters of Africa like cattle. They think ink can chain my voice, signatures can bind my spirit, and a summons can make my peoples will crumble. They are wrong. Always wrong. They will die wrong. Judge Thomas, hear me directly. I do not speak through advisors, lawyers, or interpreters. My voice is mine alone, carrying the weight of millions who have walked fire beside me. You issued an arrest warrant, thinking it will bend my back, lower my head, and force my feet into chains. You misread the man before you. Do you think I am afraid? Fear lives only in those who have something to lose that they did not earn, in those whose power was handed down, in those who stand on thrones built on the backs of the poor. I was not given power. I accepted responsibility. I did not inherit leadership. I answered the call when my people were in danger. Fear is a luxury for men who have never stared death in the eye. I am not one of them. Do you think a man who has faced terrorists, trained, funded, and armed by the very hands that claim justice, will tremble at a signed piece of paper? A man who has walked through villages emptied by war, looked into the eyes of mothers clutching lifeless children, stood at the graves of friends whose only crime was defending their homeland. Do you think such a man will bow because of your pen? You insult not only me, but the very essence of courage. I have stood before tanks, heard the clatter of machine guns aimed at my chest, walked through the dust of explosions tearing the air like angry gods. I have felt the suffocating silence after battle, counting the living, feeling the weight of those gone. And in that silence, I did not feel fear. I felt duty. I felt rage at injustice. I felt the unshakable knowledge that if I did not stand, no one would. No, Judge Thomas, I am not the product of your system. Your corridors, boardrooms, backroom deals, wine and cigars. Your system breeds men who have never carried water from a river, never planted a seed in dry soil, never chosen between eating or feeding their child. I am not that man. I am forged in the dust and sweat of this land. My education was my people's hunger. My diploma was the liberation of my country. My credentials are the scars on my hands and the resolve in my heart. You believe your universities create leaders, but they produce servants polished to look like masters. Men who quote philosophers, but cannot name the elders who kept their villages alive. I am not one of them. I have read your books. Yes, but I have also read the sky when the rain's delayed. I have read the eyes of my soldiers returning from battle. I have read the unspoken questions of my people as they wondered if the struggle was worth it. Your schools do not teach this. Your degrees cannot measure it. I am not a pet of your embassies. I do not kneel in gilded halls or smile for cameras while signing away the lifeblood of my nation. I do not need your aid when it comes as a leash, nor your applause when it is reserved only for obedience. Invitations, promises, threats of isolation, they cannot summon me. A man who walks with his people is never alone. I am the son of a people who learned long ago that the law of the oppressor is nothing but a chain of slavery polished to look like gold. You call it law, we call it control. You call it justice, we call it domination. And we know it well. We know it from colonial decrees that stole our land, from courts that punished us for speaking our language, gathering, or daring to dream of independence. You think you have changed because the chains are now written into contracts, the whips disguised as economic sanctions, the prisons replaced by political pressure. But the nature is the same, Judge Thomas. The same hand holds the chain, the same voice gives the order, the same arrogance believes it can define the limits of our freedom. Do you know why your arrest warrant does not scare me? Because I know it is never about justice. It is about reminding us of the place you think we belong. Obedient beneath you, grateful for your crumbs. But that place no longer exists. For me, for Africa. We have burned it from the map of our destiny. Try to rebuild it with your courts, your laws, your threats, and we will burn it again. You may imprison bodies, but you cannot cage minds that have tasted freedom. You cannot shackle people who have seen the true face of their oppressors. I have seen it, Judge Thomas, and I will never unsee it. My people have seen it, and they will never again walk willingly into hands that hold their chains. Issue your warrant, broadcast it to the world, parade it among your allies. To me, it is just another link in the long chain of colonial arrogance, and I was born to break chains. You sit in your court with your wig, your books, your cameras, pretending to hold the world in your hands. What you hold is a lie. The law you claim to defend is a tool of empire. The empire that plundered Africa for centuries and now pretends to teach morality. You are not a judge. You are an actor in a dying play, performing for an audience that has stopped clapping, pretending the spotlight still shines when the generator has already failed. You call me a criminal because I refuse to bow to your orders. You call me dangerous because I speak the language of liberation. You call me a threat because I will not let my people be trampled. But the truth is, it is you who are afraid that the fire burning in Burkina Faso will spread to Mali, Niger, Congo, South Africa, to every corner of this continent, until your courts are nothing but empty rooms collecting dust. One day, your arrest warrants will be laughed at by children who know their history, by leaders who owe you nothing, by nations that have cut the last string of dependence. You think you can wield law as a weapon, but this time, you have chosen the wrong target. Your law does not walk our markets. It does not drink from our rivers. It has no place under our sun. When you write my name on paper, it carries no weight here. It is a foreign tongue trying to command a language it cannot pronounce. Judge Thomas, power is not in the ink you spill. It is in the people who refuse to obey. And in Africa, we have reached that point. You speak of human rights, yet where were you when your government supplied weapons that slaughtered our children? When your corporations' mines collapsed on African workers? When puppet leaders stole billions while you smiled and shook their hands? You have the audacity to pretend you are the guardian of justice. But every African knows your court is a wolf in priest's robes. Let me tell you what your arrest warrant has done. It has not weakened me. It has not frightened me. It has not silenced me. No, Judge Thomas, it has awakened millions. It has shown them, in black and white, that the fight we speak of is real. That when an African stands for his land, his people, his dignity, the colonial master will always come knocking with chains. You thought you were humiliating me, but you revealed yourself. You thought you were isolating me, but you united my people. You thought you were ending my influence, but you multiplied it 1,000-fold. When the slaves of old escaped plantations, they were hunted, chained, beaten, and yet they ran. Today the chains are legal documents, the beatings are sanctions, the hunts are arrest warrants. But the spirit is the same. We will keep running, not away from you, but toward freedom, toward destiny, toward a day when no African leader must explain to the West why he serves his people. I know your type. You believe history began when Europe wrote it down. You think your institutions are the pinnacle of civilization. You cannot imagine a world where Africa stands on its own feet. So when we rise, you panic. You scramble to invent charges, issue warrants, intimidate, divide. You cannot fight us on the battlefield of ideas, so you drag us into the courtroom you created, where the jury speaks your language, the rules bend to your interests, and the sentence is written before the trial begins. But here is where you miscalculated, Judge Thomas. Africa is no longer your courtroom. It is a battlefield where the people are the judges, the witnesses, and the executioners of history's verdict. And their verdict on you is clear. You are guilty. Guilty of arrogance, guilty of hypocrisy, guilty of trying to enslave a continent that has already broken its chains. I will not come to your court. I will not recognize its authority. I will not dignify its hypocrisy by standing in your dock. If you want me, come and find me. Come to the streets of Ouagadougou. Come to the villages where the soil is soaked with the blood of martyrs. Come to the markets where women sell the food their hands have grown. Come to the schools where children shout my name, not because I am perfect, but because I belong to them. Come, Judge Thomas, and see if your paper can protect you from the will of a people who have had enough. Send your threats, your envoys, your soldiers. We will bury them all in the same ground where we buried the notion that Africa belongs to anyone but Africans. You may control your court, but you do not control our hearts. You may write your laws, but you do not write our destiny. Judge Thomas, your arrest warrant is not a weapon. It is a confession. Proof that your system is scared, losing, unable to stop the tide. You thought you were summoning me, but in truth you have summoned Africa, and we are here, awake, unbowed. Keep your paper, keep your court, keep your titles and robes. They are relics of a dying order, the last ornaments of a system with no life left in it. We have no use for them, no use for laws never written with our names in mind, for judgments carved in stone long before we spoke a word in your language. You hold these things like treasures, but to us, they are nothing more than shackles polished to shine. A golden cage meant to make the prisoner forget he is imprisoned. Justice does not wear wigs. The wigs in your courts are the costume of empire, the disguise of colonial rule, worn by men who once believed they could own the world. You wear them like crowns, thinking they grant wisdom, but they only reveal your foolishness. In Africa, justice walks barefoot, feels the soil beneath its feet, looks its people in the eyes, and speaks the truth without hiding behind costumes or traditions stolen from another time. Our justice is in the hands of the farmer who refuses to sell his land to a foreign company. He has no degrees, no diplomas, no quotations from your philosophers. But he knows something far greater. He knows the land is life. To sell it is to sell the breath of his children, the future of his community, the soul of his ancestors. You cannot bribe that knowledge. You cannot intimidate it with threats. You cannot drown it in legal jargon. That farmer, standing in his field with a hoe in his hand, is a greater defender of justice than all your courts combined. He will not bend, and when you come for him with contracts or promises of wealth, he will send you away with the same answer his fathers gave before him. This land is not mine to sell. It belongs to those who will come after me. Our justice lives in the fists of the young man who refuses to join the army of an oppressor. He is not a soldier by training, but a warrior by spirit. He knows that to wear the uniform you offer is to carry the flag of his own subjugation. He knows your wars are not his wars, your enemies are not his enemies, and your victories will never be his victories. So when you try to conscript him, lure him with pay, or promise him a seat at your table, he will look you in the eye and say, I will fight, but not for you. I will fight for my people, for my land, for the right to wake up tomorrow free. That defiance is justice, Judge Thomas, and no courtroom on earth can prosecute it. Our justice is also in the voice of the mother who tells her child, you were born free, and you will die free. She does not read it from a law book. She does not need a constitution to validate her words. She carries this truth in her heart, in her bones, in the stories her grandmother whispered under the moonlight. She has seen the world try to cage her people, watched soldiers march through her village, endured famine, and faced men who came to take what was not theirs. Yet through it all, she has kept one truth alive: her child belongs to no master, no court, no empire. When she says, you are free, she is writing a law greater than any you have ever passed, a law enforced not by police, but by the unbreakable will of a people. That is the justice you cannot touch, Judge Thomas. That is the justice your arrest warrants cannot chain. You can send 1,000 soldiers, 1,000 papers, 1,000 threats. It will make no difference. This justice is not written down. It lives in our daily acts, in the choices we make, in the refusal to bow. You cannot lock it away because it is not a man, not a building, not a government. It is a spirit that moves from one generation to the next, untouched by your decrees. This justice will outlive your court, your empire, and your name. Long after your court lies in ruins, Long after your empire is reduced to a chapter in history books, long after your name is forgotten except as a cautionary tale, this justice will remain. It will live in the calloused hands of farmers planting seeds in the same soil their ancestors defended. It will live in the eyes of children walking to school without fear of soldiers. It will live in the songs sung by women at the market, songs of victory over those who came with chains. And let me tell you, Judge Thomas, the more you try to destroy this justice, the stronger it becomes. Every time you arrest a leader, another rises. Every time you silence a voice, 100 more begin to speak. Every time you burn a village, the survivors rebuild it with stronger walls. You cannot kill what you cannot see, and you cannot see the roots of this justice because they run too deep. Through the blood of our martyrs, the sweat of our workers, the dreams of our youth, your justice is fragile, Judge Thomas, because it depends on obedience. Ours is indestructible because it depends on defiance. Yours requires the fear of punishment. Ours requires only the memory of oppression. Yours is guarded by police. Ours is guarded by the people themselves. You can lose yours with the stroke of a pen. Ours can only be lost if we forget who we are. And that will never happen again. So keep your paper, keep your court, keep your titles and your robes. We will keep our land, our dignity, our freedom. And when the day comes that your court collapses under the weight of its own lies, do not expect us to mourn. We will not send flowers to your funeral. We will not write tributes to your memory. We will dance in the streets, not to celebrate the fall of a man, but to celebrate the triumph of a truth you could never understand. In that celebration, there will be no mention of Judge Thomas. No mention of your arrest warrant. You will be a footnote, a forgotten chapter in the story of a people who refused to kneel. The only names remembered will be those of the farmers, the young men, the mothers, the ordinary Africans who stood taller than your court, spoke louder than your gavel, and carried justice not in their pockets, but in their souls. This is why you will fail. Not because I am strong, but because my people are stronger than your entire system. Not because I am fearless, but because fear has no place left in Africa. Not because I am a leader, but because I am one among millions who have woken to the truth we owe you nothing. Not our obedience, not our respect, not even our attention. You are an echo of a past we have already buried, and we will not dig it up for your amusement. So keep your paper, Judge Thomas. Frame it, hang it in your office, show it to your friends. But remember this while you sit admiring your signature: Africa is moving. Africa is building. Africa is rising. And one day soon, when you look out your window and see a world that has changed without you, you will understand. Your court is not the center of the world. Your law is not the measure of justice. Our justice is ours alone. It has always been ours, and it will remain ours forever. And to the shadowed hands that guide your pen, let me make this clear: you may have thought this was about me. It is not. You may have believed that by targeting me, you strike at the heart of this movement. You do not. You are not fighting a man. You are confronting a tide, and tides do not negotiate with rocks in their path. They break them, erode them, swallow them whole. You sit in your chambers, thinking you are the architect of order. But you are merely an instrument, a mouthpiece for powers too cowardly to show their faces. You sign their papers, echo their decrees, dress their ambitions in the language of law. But make no mistake, you are the robe, not the ruler. Without their whispers in your ear, you are just a man in a costume holding a hammer, pretending it is a sword. To your handlers, in the embassy's boardrooms, intelligence offices, hear this: Africa is not yours to manage. We are not your laboratory, your extraction site, your playground. You think you can move pieces on a chessboard, removing leaders who resist and installing puppets to sign away our future. You think you can disguise exploitation behind development projects, NGOs, court rulings. But we see you. Every African who has watched their resources vanish sees you. Every community displaced by your projects sees you. Every child who drinks from a poisoned river sees you. And we will not forgive. You cling to the illusion that history is on your side, that the structures you built will last forever. But history is not written in marble courtrooms. It is written in the blood and sweat of people who refuse to surrender. And history has already turned against you. Every move you make now only fuels the fire you claim to fear. Your warrant has become a banner of resistance. Your threats are our rallying cries. Your name, Judge Thomas, is now a symbol of the arrogance of those who think they can police the free. So here is my final word to you and those you serve. We are not coming to your court. But your court will one day come to ours. And when it does, there will be no wigs, no robes, no empty rituals, only the unvarnished truth of your crimes and the judgment of a people who have risen beyond your reach. When that day comes, do not ask for mercy. You showed none. Do not ask for understanding. You earn none. Do not expect your titles to protect you. They will be stripped away, and you will stand naked before the verdict of history. And history has already decided you have lost. You have started something you cannot finish, Judge Thomas. And in the pages of history, when they write of this moment, they will not remember your warrant. They will not remember your court. They will remember that an African stood up, looked the empire in the eye, and said, "No more." And from that day, the world was never the same.